Regardless of who's in power, the chronic conundrum of the migration saga will continue. It doesn't seem to be going away. And in the wake of all this madness around the Rwanda Bill this week, it now appears that despite the government claiming to shut down 50 hotels, it seems that those in the hotels are just taxied over to other hotels. Joining me now is Nigel Jacklin, who represents the No to North Eye group, which is a group campaigning against housing asylum seekers in Bexhill. In a former sort of a military prison. Nigel, good to see you.
Hi,
welcome back to the Independent Republic.
Thank you.
It's a good week to have you in, really, because as we just saw there at the top of the show, another 350 migrants have arrived on our shores, southeast of England. I'm not sure exactly where, on the very day that Rishi Sunak urges the House of Lords to put the bill through. You know, they're meant to be going back the other way, but they're still coming this way.
Yeah, but if you think about it from the arrivals point of view, they set off from wherever they've come from a long time ago, haven't they?
Yeah.
So getting across the channel is just the last part of their journey.
Of their journey, yes. And they've set off from perhaps Libya. They've gone to Lampedusa. They've arrived in mainland Italy. They've worked their way through probably Germany or France. They've got themselves to Calais, or they've got themselves to Normandy, and now they've got... But they've always known that's where they wanted to go, right?
Destination of choice.
Yes.
And look, the thing you had before, we were in Beirut in '95.
Yeah.
And I worked with a Christian and a Muslim, and you kind of think, well, wars need to stop.
Yeah.
That's just the answer. And there are a lot more deserving people back where they've come from.
Absolutely. Well, one of the big questions that people ask all the time is if there are wars and if there are people being killed, why is it that the men are leaving and why are they leaving the women and children behind?
Yeah. So we should really be helping people back where they've come from to rebuild their countries.
Yeah.
The amount of money we spend on accommodating people here would be much better spent over there.
Well, what you've been doing very, very thoroughly over the past few months is keeping an eye on the Home Office and keeping an eye on what exactly is going on in terms of where these people are going, because your particular interest is Bexhill, which is also my particular interest as well, for various reasons. But there's a camp there, which is called North Eye, which was a British military camp, we understand. I actually went and had a look at it not that long ago to see if anything was changed, and nothing seems to have changed.
No.
It's in a pretty dilapidated state. Most recently used by Emirates Airlines, I think it was.
The UAE military
UAE as a training ground. So you've uncovered some paperwork, though, that says nothing's really happening, right?
Well, the go-ahead, the decision was announced in March. They were going to move people in from September, and they've still not decided to do anything. What we've found is talking to Wethersfield and Scampton. So when Wethersfield got to 250 or 500 people, fights broke out. So they can't accommodate...
In terms of the numbers of people in the camp?
Yeah, there's going to be limits. So they're going to need more places. So they're going to need hotels again. Or they're going to need more barges. And the numbers won't stack up anymore. And what we've also uncovered is that if you accommodate a large number of people in a building that was a hotel, it's no longer a hotel. They should apply for change of use because it's a hostel. But they're not doing so, probably because that still means they can get the rates. But the whole sort of deck of cards, it's just...
Well, the whole system seems to cop, doesn't it? Because basically, I think you discovered that the Home Office have bought the site in Bexhill, haven't they? Where they before were hoping to just use it. They've now actually just gone and bought the whole thing. So we now own it, effectively.
They paid 15 million quid for what a bunch of investors who set up a year or two before paid 6 million quid for. And the paper trail on the ownership is quite interesting, and there were different companies set up at a point in time when I believe the Home Office was starting to consult about how they might do things. So someone must have found out.
Yes. And have they made any more kind of advancements on whether it would be a camp which was, say, a lockable camp, for example, or whether it's going to be some place that they can come and go freely?
The MP has said that if it is used, it will be as a secure detention centre, and that the Prime Minister and the then Immigration Minister have confirmed that that will be the case.
Was that Jenrick?
I believe so,
Still in,
and I mean, obviously, there might be a change in government.
Well, I mean, some people think there will definitely be a change in government. But that's the other problem, is that whatever happens with this Miranda Bill, which has gone through Parliament today, or this week rather, and is now on its way to the House of Lords. Nobody really in their right mind believes that it's going to change anything. I certainly don't think it's going to change anything, because Rwanda isn't really the answer, is it? The answer is to process people, and if they are not eligible to stay here, to deport them. Yeah. It's really that simple. Yeah. And it's not about whether you deport them to Rwanda, you deport them to wherever they come from, surely.
Yeah, and I'm doing a podcast tomorrow with a guy who used to work in returns. His job was to escort failed asylum seekers back to the country they came from.
Right.
And actually what Sunak...
So he would physically travel with them?
Yeah, yeah. Right. It's quite a job. There would be a plane chartered every week.
Yeah.
Sunak actually said they had returned 20,000 people.
I heard them say that. I don't know where that number comes from.
Yeah. It's not being... The media didn't seem to be very interested in that.
Well, do you know, the first I heard of it was James Cleverly, I think on the day of the first vote, so when the first reading of the bill, which would have been, I guess, Tuesday, I saw James Cleverly making a statement. He looked as if he was in Dover or something like that. And he said, we've already sent 20,000 back. And I'm going, sorry? Since when?
Yeah, well, it could be that a lot of them are Albanians.
I wondered about that because they're now claiming also with Albania that one of the reasons that the numbers are down is because the Albanians are no longer coming, which might be true, but which tells you how many of them that were coming were in fact Albanian, who were coming here having already been deported once and were coming back.
When I last looked, there were 1,200 Albanians in UK prisons.
Yes, which is a far higher number per sort of capita from any other country.
It's the top.
There's no question.
Somalia.
Yeah, there's no question that an awful lot of the people who were coming from Albania on small boats were coming here to take part in organised crime. Yeah. You know, again, something that people don't say because it's not thought to be the right thing to say. But I don't know if you saw, we did it on this show, International Albania Day, back in, I think it might have been back end of November of last year or December, where basically a load of Albanians took over the central part of London and were just driving cars round and round Westminster Square. They ended up being kettled in Waterloo because there were so many of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do actually get all-day breakfast at an Albanian cafe round the corner from the office. So it's very good.
Well, I'm sure.
And the guy's son has worked.
I'm not suggesting that every single Albanian in Britain is involved in organised crime, but an awful lot of them are.
Yes.
But you've also got some other news because you're telling us that you're going to be running for office in the general election.
Yes, so I plan to stand as an independent network candidate in the general election in Bexhill and Battle.
And who's the current incumbent there?
Hugh Merriman, who's also the training.
So you've got a Conservative. So, I mean, if the sort of predictions are what they would turn out to be, he's probably got a bit of a problem, hasn't he?
He's got a big majority, but I think I've got more of a chance of getting elected than the Tories have of...
Well, you may well have. I mean, it's very possible. So are you standing on any particular issues? Is it going to be related to Bexhill and the migrants?
North Iron asylum seekers, safety and community. So we've been inspired, as it were, by Sussex Police. Okay. And also, I think we're going to go for a turning point, you know. Whether it will be this election or next year's county elections, I think they've had enough.
People have had enough. I mean, I was talking earlier this week to a woman who's standing in Kingston against Sir Ed Davey, who's standing as an independent, Yvonne, because she's going to be representing the postmasters and postmistresses. And I think people generally look now at what's been going on for the best part of probably the last 10 years.
Well, Yvonne's already a councillor, like me, so she's known, and I sincerely hope she gets elected.
Yeah. I think she's got a pretty good chance of beating Ed Davey because, I mean, his time is definitely up. And people they watch this. I mean, I don't know what your own personal view is of this Rwanda Bill, but it seems to me that they've created almost something out of nothing. They've tried to make out that everybody wants it when everybody doesn't want it because nobody really believes in it. Yeah. Yes, people want to stop immigration, but this is not the way.
I think there's this special room that they go in and they all have quite a lot to drink and they think up something really bonkers. Yeah. And this is one of them, you know. And
well, the idea that they're arguing, I mean, I said the other night, it's a bit like watching The Wizard of Oz. You know, they've kind of created this fantasy, which is what we're all supposed to be arguing about. But in fact, it's not. There's not really anything there. Once you sort of delve inside, there's nothing there.
Well, like you said, you stop wars, you sort the arrivals, you do processing, so you don't need accommodation centres, but you do need to return people. So the returns bit and where people are returned to is the
and
bit
you
that
do
needs to be
actually
cracked.
do. I mean, if they were, I mean, not that you would want it where it currently is in Bexhill, but if they were going to have detention places, that would be a good thing, because one of the things that nobody ever says, those who say, "Oh, what we need to do is process them quicker." Well, what happens if they fail the test? What are you going to do then?
Yeah,
you got to put them somewhere.
Yeah, so we're in favour of having detention centres, providing that leads to returns, deportations, and if that deters arrivals.
Right.
So the bizarre thing is, if you have one of these detention centres and it works, you won't need it.
Right. Well, or at least you'd only need it to keep people in it for a very short time. Well, Nigel, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Nigel Jacklin there from No to North Eye. You can find him on Twitter. No for North Eye is the account. And also that is the campaign slogan as well.